Alright, hello people, I'm the Dude and this is Let's Play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Let's just get this out of the way right now. This game is a 10 out of 10, it's just that good. There's no part of this game that I don't like, and that's rare. There's nothing I can complain about at all. This game is just that good. I mean, the storyline is interesting and really funny in places. The dialogue is really funny, genuinely entertaining. The characters are really cool, they're well voice acted, the combat's fun. The special vampire abilities and the clans and all that's fun. The enemies are very diverse. You get all kinds of different enemies in this game. And the bosses are all unique. You get all kinds of choices. You can do this diplomatic where you try to talk your way through the game. You can do stealth where you're sneak attacking people and backstabbing them and sneaking around them and stuff like that. You can do full-on combat with either unarmed melee or guns. Or just straight up vampire powers. If you just want to run around using your vampire powers to kill people, you can do that. This game, it's just amazing how good this game is. I first played it about a year after it came out, and I played it a ton back then. I've beaten the game multiple times with all different clans. I've tweaked the different clans, I don't know how many times, just swapping their abilities around and their powers and all that stuff. It's just, this game is endlessly fun. Let's just leave it at that. So yeah, let's go ahead and... Actually, what do I have the volume set to? Yeah, okay, I've got the volume low right now. This game is old, and sadly it doesn't have multiple volume sliders. So, some things are going to be too loud, and some things are probably going to be too low. I can't do anything about that. I've only got one slider to work with. It's just the way this game is. So hopefully it won't be too bad. I plan to eventually do at least 3 playthroughs. 1 stealth, 1 diplomatic, and 1 with full-on combat. I think I'm going to start with the combat one because generally it's probably going to be the most fun. The other 2 will be more specialized. If people don't like dialogue, they're not going to like the diplomatic one. If they don't like slow-paced gameplay, they're not going to like stealth. So we're going to do guns and fists and stuff like that first. We're going to be a bruiser, basically. Let's see. Nicholas Taylor, that's fine. That's a good name. Humanity, if this runs out, I turn into this slavering monster and start wrecking people, which sounds cool, but it's actually a bad thing. You don't want that to happen. You lose control, basically. And then these little masks represent the Masquerade. If I break vampire law enough, these run out and people hunt me down and kill me, which is also bad. You've got to keep an eye on both of these. Usually it's not too bad if you don't do really stupid stuff. The clans, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. The Bruja is very physical. The Gangrel is also very physical. They're both about unarmed and melee type damage. Malkavian is fucking crazy. Their dialogue is some of the best in the game. Their clan is basically mentally unstable. They can't help it, they just are. And it means that the way people react to them is hilarious. It's really, really fun. Nosferatu, they have a unique mechanic in that if you get close to anyone, if you walk up to any humans and get within their sight range, you immediately break the Masquerade because look at them, they're evil. They look like the old, you know, Bram Stoker vampires. So yeah, they've got a really cool mechanic. Most people play them stealth. Toreador, or the Pretty Boys, they have a pretty good set of initial abilities, and I've played them quite a few times. They play kind of like Max Payne because they've got celerity and auspex combined. They can see through walls and they can slow down time, and they can boost their firearms. So basically, it turns the game into like a shooting gallery. It's really, really fun. Tremere, the Blood Mages, they have blood magic, which is amazing. They can boil people's blood and make them explode from the inside out. They turn them into basically walking time bombs. They can create blood shields around themselves to defend themselves. They can steal people's blood from a distance. Really, really powerful. And then the last one are the Ventures. These guys are like the politicians. They use other people to do their bidding, that kind of thing. I think that's all the clans. I don't know if I showed these two. There's Gangrel. Sadly, whenever you get in game, they don't do this kind of really cool crouch down crawling thing. It looks badass here, but it doesn't happen in game, which kind of sucks. Bruja, there's the Bruja. Like I said, they're all about blunt, you know, trauma, brute force, smashing people into mush, that kind of thing. So that's all the clans. I have mods at the moment. I'm using the official patch from Troika. I'm using the unofficial patch from Wesp. I've got a couple of mods that people made to change clothing around a bit. Like the gangrel, this outfit right here isn't in the game normally. Or at least this palette version isn't. What else? I changed around the abilities and the attributes and the skill orders a bit. They're the same, they function the same, I've just changed them around to different clans. Because I've played this game so many times that I know how I want them to be set up. The standard way just doesn't work for me. So anyways, like I said, we're going to do focus on combat first, and I think we're going to do Tremere for my first one. We will be a dude, and these little histories right here, they serve as your background for your character, but mainly they change up your abilities a little bit. We're going to do Eerie Presence, which is my favorite for Tremere. Most vampires have no problem fitting into mortal society. You don't know what it is, but you just can't pull it off. So yeah, even though we're trying to seem like we're still human, even though we're a vampire trying to pretend we're still human, we're not doing a very good job at it. You're doing everything they're doing, but something about you seems to make humans uneasy. Sometimes it seems like you just can't... Wait. Sometimes it seems like they can just sense you. You are a perfectly affable, intellectual human, so what gives? So yeah, we try hard, but it doesn't work for us. Basically what it does, this right here is just for fluff. It's just something for you to read. This right here is what it actually does for the game. It costs us less experience to raise our mental attributes. That's good. But it costs more to raise social and stealth. I'm not going to be doing stealth. Like I said, this is going to be more like a run-and-gun type character. And I'm not going to be doing diplomacy because, again, this is going to be a run-and-gun character. So I don't care about either one of these. And having this cheaper is a good thing. So that is our backstory. And here's a whole mess of stats. All you really need to know is these are the ones that matter. You pump these over here, attributes and abilities, to raise these feats, and the feats decide what you can do in the game. Unarmed is for punching, melee is for swords and axes and stuff like that, ranged is guns, defense is dodging, lockpicking is lockpicking, sneaky sneaking, hacking hacking, inspection is crap. Don't worry about inspection. It's completely worthless. Research is iffy. There's a lot of people that like it, a lot of people that don't. I tend to ignore it. What it does is if you pump this up, you'll find books throughout the game that will raise your other stats. I don't like to mess with it. Haggle reduces prices. You're not going to be too concerned about money. I mean, the only thing I can think of is if you went firearms, if you went ranged combat, and you just sprayed bullets constantly at everything, maybe you might at some point run out of money. It's the only time I can think of it making a difference. Intimidate, persuasion, seduction, these are all for diplomacy, for dialogue. And then soak is your defenses. These numbers to the right here reduce these types of damage. So I have 1 bashing soak, which means I take 1 less damage from bashing. I'll get more to that later. Aggravated is, well, you'll see aggravated in the playthrough. Aggravated is dangerous. It's very scary. If it's aggravated, it's either an environmental hazard, like a building is on fire and you step in the fire, or there's electricity shooting out of like something in the wall and you step into it and you take damage, or it's supernaturals. It's either environmental or it's supernaturals, like werewolves do aggravated damage because they're bastards. Anyways, you'll see more of that in the game. Let's see, I think that's probably it. We're going to do our stats real quick. I think we'll do dexterity for lockpicking and sneaking. 3 sneaking is probably enough to get you through the entire game. You don't need much sneaking stat to be invisible. You're either in the shadows and you're invisible, or you're not in the shadows, and sneaking is not going to help you at all. So, yeah, 3 is probably more than enough. Let's see, social, like I said, this is not a diplomacy character, so I don't care. Mental, we'll probably do wits for defense and hacking. Yes, yes. Talents, brawl would be good. Yeah, I think we'll do brawl. for some unarmed. Early on in the game, you won't have guns. For the first hub, you're not going to have any good guns at the very least. So you're probably going to be using unarmed, at least for the first chapter of the game. So it's good to have some brawl. Plus, unarmed also lets you feed on people. You're a vampire, you can jump on people and suck their blood, and it basically heals you. This helps with that too, so having a little bit is good. Like I said, we're going to focus on firearms. Probably around about the second chapter, we're going to focus completely on firearms. So having some skill would be good. Yeah, we'll do firearms for that one. And then knowledge, haggle, I don't care. Inspection is useless. I don't care. So yeah, that leaves computers, in case you were keeping track there. This is the only one of this section that even matters to me. So we're going to do hacking. And then for disciplines, normally Tremere has Auspex, Thaumaturgy, and Dominate. Like I said, I've switched the disciplines around a bit because I know how I want them, and I'd rather him have Celerity than Dominate. Dominate is more or less crap. It's one of the worst disciplines in the game. If you're trying to do a diplomatic character where you're using dialogue to get past situations, then Dominate's okay. If you're not, it's complete garbage. It's just terrible. So I switched it out for Celerity. And I think we're going to put our first point into maybe Thaumaturgy. Problem with Thaumaturgy is it's really strong, but its best ability is at the ass end of the discipline. It's the level 5 one. Blood Boil's the really good one. Blood Boil's the one where you target a guy, he kind of floats into the air, and his skin starts like expanding and contracting until eventually he just blows up, and it does so much damage. It's really strong. Blood Salvo's decent. Blood Shield's really good. Blood Purge is situational, but it's not terrible. I think we'll focus on Celerity first. That's what we'll do. Celerity's just universally awesome. No matter what build you are, no matter what kind of character you are, it's just the best discipline in the entire game. No matter how you're playing, it's the best. So, after this, the intro is going to play. I'm going to go back out, because I don't think I can switch the volume from here, can I? No, I can't. Okay, I'm going to go back out, switch the volume, and then you'll see the intro in a minute.
Good evening. My fellow kindred, my apologies for disrupting any business or interfering with prior engagements you may have had this evening. It's unfortunate that the affair that gathers us together tonight is a troubling one. We are here because the laws that bind our society, the laws that are the fabric of our existence, have been broken. As Prince, I am within my rights to grant or deny the kindred of this city the privilege of siring. Many of you have come to me seeking permission, and I have endorsed some of these requests. However, the accused that sits before you tonight was not refused permission. Indeed, my permission was never sought at all. They were caught shortly after the embrace of this child. It pains me to announce the sentence, as up to tonight I considered the accused a loyal and upstanding member of our organization. But as some of you may know, the penalty for this transgression is death. Know that I am no more adjudicator than I am a servant to the law that governs us all. let tonight's proceedings serve as a reminder to our community that we must adhere to the code that binds our society, lest we endanger all of our blood. Forgive me. Let the penalty commence. Which leads to the fate of the ill-begotten progeny. Without a sire, most childer are doomed to walk the earth never knowing their place, their responsibility, and most importantly, the laws they must obey. Therefore, I have decided that
This is bullshit!
if Mr. Rodriguez would let me finish, I have decided to let this kindred live. They shall be instructed in the ways of our kind and be granted the same rights. Let no one say I am unsympathetic to the plights and causes of this community. I thank you all for attending these proceedings, and I hope their significance is not lost. Good evening. Your sire, tragic, my apologies. But you see, there is a strict code of conduct that all of us must adhere to if we wish to survive. When anyone breaks these laws, they undermine the well-worn fabric of our centuries-old society. Understand my predicament. Allowing you to live makes me directly responsible for your subsequent behavior. So, what I'm offering is not generosity, but the opportunity to transcend the fate woven by your sire. This is your trial. You will be brought to Santa Monica. There you will meet an agent by the name of Mercurio. He will provide the details of your labor. I've shown you great clemency. Prove it was more than a wasted gesture, fledgling. Don't come back until you do. Good evening.